This is a tutorial to show how to add customized length error bars to each individual bar in a bar graph. So for this tutorial, I made up some numbers for a theoretical experiment where there were 4 groups of plants. In the first group, no fertilizer was added. In the second group, we used a specific fertilizer 1. In the third group, we used a different fertilizer, fertilizer 2. And in the fourth group, we used even another fertilizer, fertilizer 3. The height of each of the plants was taken after growing them for a certain amount of time under this fertilizer, and then the average was taken of those heights. So here you can see the mean or the average of the group of plants treated with that given fertilizer or lack thereof. And then we can also see the standard deviation for the group of data collected under each fertilizer. So in order to create a bar graph with customized heights of the error bars, we are not able to just select the data like this and create our bar graph. Instead, we have to format the data a little bit differently. So I'm going to move the column titles down here. So now I have no fertilizer, fertilizer 1, fertilizer 2, and fertilizer 3. And then I also have to arrange those column titles on the left here. So now that I have my column titles across the top and then also across the side, I can move the means into my graph or into my chart. And the way I'm going to arrange the means is I want the mean for each group on the diagonal where the name of that treatment is both the column title and the row title. So I'm going to copy each of my means and paste them into this new chart that I have. Now using this chart, we'll be able to create our bar graph. So I'm going to go Insert, Chart, and here we can see our bar graph. Now this graph is something that we would have been able to make with this setup, this table up here as well. But with the table up here, each of these numbers would be considered to be part of the same series, and we would not be able to customize those error bars. So now, because we've set up our very unusual looking table, we're able to create a graph such that each bar is considered a part of a different series. So now let's go ahead and add in some error bars. So I have my chart or my graph selected. I'm going to go to Customize. I'm going to go to Series. And then I'm going to change, instead of applying to all series, we want to only change the error bar height for no fertilizer group. So in our no fertilizer group, we're going to add error bars. We're going to change this from percentage to not none. We're going to change it from percentage to constant. So we're going to have a constant error bar height, and that height is going to be equal to our standard deviation, 0.5. So I type in my standard deviation in the value box, and then I go down here and look at my graph. That error bar should be 0.5 below the bar height and also 0.5 above the bar height. Now, if this full length from here to here is 2, this does look like each of these, the positive error bar above the bar and also the negative error bar going below the bar are both 0.5. So that is good. We added that correctly. Now I go to fertilizer 1. I find my standard deviation is 1.1. I'm going to add an error bar that is a constant with a value of 1.1. And we can see that error bar is added here. It is 1.1, which should be taller than our 0.5 error bar. It looks about right. Now I can go to fertilizer 2, add that error bar. And this error bar should be 0.7. And it is not a percent, instead it is a constant. and we go to our graph. It looks about less than our 0.7. It looks about 0.7 looks about less than the 1.1 and more than the 0.5, so that looks good. Then we can go to our last series here with fertilizer 3, add an error bar that is a constant, and also look at the value. It should be 0.6. And the number 0.6 looks to be about the appropriate length, more than 0.5, less than 0.7. So we have added error bars. They are customized for each bar in our bar graph. This is good. Now, one other thing I want you guys to do is to actually change the colors so that way all the colors match. This isn't a rainbow chart. This is a scientific representation of data, and we don't want to be distracting our viewers by different colors on the graphs. So the way to change the color would be under Format, Fill Color, just that first darker blue looking color is the color that'll match. So we can change that for all of the groups. Good. We've changed our color. We have changed the heights of the bars to represent the heights of the error bars to represent the standard deviation. Now I want us to get rid of these series titles. You'll notice that the titles of each bar or each of the treatment groups is on the bottom here. So we can go ahead and delete the series names. You'll want to either change this title, or in this case, usually we just delete the title altogether because we use that figure caption, the graph description that we write up, and then you'll also have to add that y-axis. So we can do that here, going to axis titles, and instead of chart title, we want our vertical axis title. And the vertical axis title, in this case, the variable is height and the unit is centimeters. So we have our height in centimeters as our y-axis label. I'm going to delete this title as mentioned, but not my whole graph. And this is good. Now, if we want the text in these boxes to be larger, the way to do that is actually to make the graph smaller, and then the text in each of the boxes will become proportionally larger. So this is the way to make a graph and have customized error bars.